What's up, everybody? Walter here, and welcome to the Countdown Continued. If you're watching this, you probably just checked out the top 5 best Marvel movies over on Channel Awesome's YouTube channel. If you haven't seen that yet, make sure you go and watch that first, and then come on back here. On this show, I'm going to be going into the honorable mentions that I talked about on those videos, and this week's was the best Marvel movies. This was definitely one of the most difficult top 5s that I've ever done. I went back and rewatched 9 of the best Marvel movies that I considered from memory, and there were 4 honorable mentions, so let's get into it right now with number 9. So Iron Man, obviously the very first Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. This movie definitely still gets a lot of praise, and deservingly so. I think it's still one of the best Marvel movies. I still remember seeing it for the first time. It was, weeks apart from The Dark Knight that came out, so it was a really good summer in 2008 for superhero movies. We got 2 of the best ones to date, I think. So without Iron Man, we never would have gotten Civil War or Winter Soldier or even SpiderMan Homecoming. Or even Guardians of the Galaxy, for them to actually take a chance on something different. So without Iron Man, we wouldn't have all that, and we owe a lot as fans of Marvel movies to this first one working so well. Jon Favreau and Robert Downey Jr., with guidance obviously from Kevin Feige and everyone, really constructed something really powerful and worked really well. It's not a perfect movie. Obviously, it would have been higher on the list if it was a little bit better, but it is still a really strong movie to go back and watch. The rewatchability of it still works. It's a little bit simpler than the other Marvel movies that came later, but that's not a bad thing. Things were just starting off here for the MCU, so I really enjoyed this one. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr., this is his first appearance as Tony Stark in Iron Man, and he was, a revelation at this point, and they kind of took a chance on him because of his past history and everything like that. He wasn't exactly a reliable person in Hollywood. Now that they gave him this opportunity, he's a huge star again, the biggest he's ever been in his entire career, and he really lived that Tony Stark role, and this is where it all started for him. Obadiah Stane I want to talk about a little bit because Jeff Bridges is a great actor, and I kind of miss him. At the end of the movie, they mentioned that he's still alive, so it would be cool to kind of see him at some point. I don't know, maybe in Infinity War or something like that, we'll get a little glimpse. I'm guessing in Infinity War and the next Avengers movie after that, we might see a little bit more of, like the whole universe. So maybe we'll get little glimpses here and there. But I think he was really good. The Ironmonger character in the third act, that's kind of where it falls off a little bit. I think the first 2 acts of Iron Man are pitch perfect almost. They hit all the right marks of everything. But the third act with Ironmonger coming in and fighting Iron Man and everything, I don't know if that worked very well. It didn't work badly. It was okay, but it just didn't live up to the first 2 acts of the movie. And but besides that, when Obadiah is killing these people, he's a very ruthless guy, but kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing when he's around Tony and everything. He's a very sort of brotherly, fatherly figure to him, and you can see that relationship work really well. And I kind of miss that relationship in the other Iron Man movies. This might be a controversial opinion, but I think Terrence Howard is a better Rhodey than Don Cheadle. I like Don Cheadle a lot. I think it was a great line when he came in Iron Man 2 and said, "Yeah, I'm here, get over it, move on." That was a great way to approach it, and I think he's a really good actor. He's been in a ton of great movies. Hotel Rwanda, I think, is one of his best movies, and that movie is heavy, and he does a great job in that. But I don't know. I just like Terrence Howard better. I don't know what it is. If it's his delivery, maybe his chemistry with Robert Downey Jr. is a little bit better. I just think he's a better Rhodey, and I would have loved to actually see him suit up as War Machine. That would have been cool to see. Also, something missing from the other movies, Jensen, who was Tony's compatriot in the cave that he got locked away in, I thought was a really, really good, confident character. And he needed to die for Tony to move on. He served his purpose, but I still miss that little interaction that they had. It was a very unique interaction between the two, where Jensen was almost one-upping Tony in like the sarcastic department and things like that. And you don't see anyone match wits with Tony on that level. So it was really cool to see that at the very beginning. And I kind of missed that relationship, but Jensen served his purpose, and he was a really good character there. So, yeah, Iron Man, without a doubt, one of the best Marvel movies still, and I think that we all should definitely go ahead and check it out again if we haven't recently, and sort of compare it to where the MCU has gone, and seeing the beginnings of it, the smoldering fires that exploded into this massive, phoenix of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So go ahead and check out Iron Man if you haven't. It's still a great movie. Moving on to number 8. So this was a big deal. A huge deal, something that we never saw before, which was building up 4 separate characters in 4 separate movies and combining them in the Avengers in one big movie. It was the right way to go, and I don't understand why it took everyone so long to figure this out. I mean, comic book fans and comic book movie fans have been, talking about this kind of thing for years and years and years before the MCU started. I don't know, what was the mechanism that got this moving? Maybe it was Kevin Feige to finally bring this kind of moment to life with Marvel Studios finally starting their own production company and everything, and maybe that was it. But even DC back then, I remember DC being so resistant to having a shared universe and everything like that, and now they're doing everything they can to catch up to Marvel. But the Avengers, like Iron Man, was the beginning of something else, because this was the beginning of the team-up movie, building up those 4 separate characters, the Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, combining them into one movie, and seeing how they work as a team, sharing screen time for all 4 of these main characters, and obviously Black Widow and Hawkeye are in there as well, with a big role from Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. So having to share all that screen time was something, a very unique challenge it had to be for Joss Whedon and everyone on set for that. Because you have to balance everything as a team, but you also have to treat them all as main characters. And I think the Avengers did that great. I love the tone of the Avengers. It's a very, very lighthearted film with still serious action moments and everything like that. On this recent rewatch, why I ranked it lower, I thought it was going to be a little bit higher. I think it just, with everything that's come out, like Civil War and Winter Soldier and all these other movies in the MCU that are a little bit more serious, this kind of, the comedy in this wasn't as biting or as gripping as Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor Ragnarok either. So it's like, on the rewatch, it seemed like it wasn't as, the jokes weren't as funny. It seemed kind of stale. Still one of the best Marvel movies. Obviously, I have it number 8 here, but it seemed a little bit more stale than the first couple times I saw it. I think just that we've moved past it and we've done so much better since then. I think that's why, I ranked it at number 8 instead of in the top 5 or a little bit higher. Agent Coulson was a big deal in this. Agent Coulson, his death, we all followed him throughout the films. And his death in here brought together all of the Avengers and later started Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything. So Phil Coulson's freaking awesome. I love that character. And it's funny how such a small little connective character could, be so beloved by a bunch of fans and everything to even start his own show. And I'm very happy that they brought him back. I'm waiting to see if they ever acknowledge that he's alive because, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposedly in the same universe as the MCU. So are we ever going to see that Agent Coulson is alive? Or the Avengers ever going to see him again? I would love to see that moment on screen, especially between like Iron Man and Captain America and Phil Coulson. So, I mean, him alone is a great part of the movie. Loki, this is where Loki really shined. Tom Hiddleston's Loki, everyone's favorite villain. Everyone loves Loki, and this is the movie where I think a lot of people were attracted to him. Where in Thor, I mean, there was just the kind of the beginnings of that, and people saw potential. This was a big thing for Loki to build him up as not just a villain, but a great character in general, and one that we all like. He was a charismatic, fun, guy to watch, honestly. Also, I don't think this gets talked about a lot, but the theme by Alan Silvestri, I think, is very underrated. Alan Silvestri obviously is a huge composer, did the theme music for Back to the Future and a bunch of other big movies, and this one is very memorable. I mean, I think, I saw a video once that was talking about the Marvel, music. You don't remember the Marvel music; they aren't memorable, and some of those themes aren't memorable. But the music in this movie, in the Avengers, I think is great. I mean, I still, I could hum it right now. Dun, 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 dun. That theme is great, and I love hearing it, and it totally encompasses everything we love about these characters. This is a big deal, bringing everyone together. This is a really unique, huge event that we never saw before. And yeah, I mean, I just think this is great for the time, and if all these other movies didn't come out or weren't as good, then this obviously would be higher up on the list. But everything since the Avengers has been better and better and better and better for the most part. I mean, Avengers Age of Ultron I would rank below this, obviously, but I mean, you know, Civil War and all these other movies that have come out since then, Spider-Man Homecoming and everything I talked about in my top 5, has just been, you know, even better than this. And this was another great starting point for these characters to go off and come back together and cross over in each other's movies. So The Avengers is at number 8. So if you are a long-time watcher of my stuff on Channel Awesome, you know that in our favorite Marvel movies video of Awesome Comics, I picked this movie. I picked Spider-Man, mostly because Porter, I think, already picked Guardians of the Galaxy, or someone else did, or Diana or someone, but I would have picked that. But Spider-Man, I chose as my favorite Marvel movie back then. Now, there's a difference between favorite and best, what I objectively think is the best and what I, you know, really gravitate towards the most. Now, Spider-Man has a very, very special place to me. The original 2002 Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. It's one of the first movies I remember really going to the theaters without my parents and seeing. I saw it with my best friend Harry back in where we grew up and everything, so in our hometown theater. And I have a lot of strong memories about this movie. I loved it when I first saw it. I still love it. I think it's the best Spider-Man movie of the original trilogy. I think it's better than the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And I was very close between, you know, Spider-Man Homecoming and this, but I think Spider-Man Homecoming did surpass it. But the original Spider-Man has magic that Spider-Man Homecoming doesn't have. There's just this innocence to it, and the way that Sam Raimi brought about this story and presented it in a very colorful way that's still serious, but takes itself not so seriously. You know, it really knows which moments to pick and choose with the different tones in the movie. And I love it, man. I still love, you know, Macho Man, bone size, ready, all that stuff is really funny. And Tobey Maguire, I think this is his best performance. I didn't really like him in Spider-Man 2, and by the time Spider-Man 3 came around, I was like, get this guy out of here, man. Honestly, and I feel bad saying that, but in this first one, I was totally on board with him. The direction and everything. I think Willem Dafoe is fantastic as Green Goblin. He's just so over the top. It's perfect. And I know a lot of people had a problem with Green Goblin's costume not being the same as in the comics. I know earlier there was, you know, concept art reveal that, yeah, we were thinking of doing this, but we went with this metallic, a lot of people call it the Power Ranger suit. I didn't think it was that bad. I would have rather obviously seen the real costume or something closer to that original design, but I still thought that costume was all right. It made sense because of the glider and everything. I was like, it's fine, whatever. But his performance was fantastic. So also James Franco as Harry Osborn, this is where I just started like, oh man, James Franco, this guy's awesome. So I followed his career pretty closely since this, and I think in a lot of, you know, 2 and 3, I think he's like the best part of the movie. Even in 3, he kind of goes off the rails, but he's kind of just doing whatever he wants, which is cool. And I'm really excited to see The Disaster Artist. So I'm kind of on this James Franco kick right now. He's also great in was it 11/23/66 or whatever that Stephen King miniseries on Hulu he was in. It was really good. So. I'm a big James Franco fan because of the Spider-Man movies. Still love this first Spider-Man movie. It'll always hold a special place in my heart. And it kind of got me wanting to read more Spider-Man comics too. So I owe a lot to this Spider-Man movie. And I think it still really holds up. So if you're feeling nostalgic, if you want to check out a simpler time in Marvel movies, go ahead and check out the original Spider-Man movie. Deadpool took a lot of people by surprise when it came out last year, and I think it's the best movie you could make out of the Deadpool character, and it just missed out on that number 5 spot. It was decently close between Homecoming and Deadpool, but ultimately, I mean, I like Spider-Man better. I do think it's a better movie. I think Michael Keaton's performance in Homecoming really helped this push over the edge into the top 5 and push Deadpool down to number 6, but it was fairly close. This almost was number 5. There's a lot to like about this movie. Obviously, it's hilarious. It is really funny in a much different way than Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor Ragnarok or all these other funny MCU movies or comedic MCU movies are. The rated R rating really made this thing very unique from anything else that we saw before, and it also led to Wolverine's movie, the Logan, the latest Wolverine movie, to be an R rating. Without that, I'm not sure if we would have gotten the R-rated Logan movie, and if you saw my top 5 best Marvel movies, that would have been a bad thing. Deadpool was very funny, but also had heartfelt moments in it. I mean, those fake advertisements of it being a comedy and stuff, or it being like a love story, like some kind of Lifetime movie or something like that, which I thought was pretty funny and really went along with the marketing campaign very well and the character. But it does have some really good heartfelt moments throughout the movie. It's not just all gory, bloody action with vulgar jokes. Those are obviously a big part of the movie and a big part of why people like Deadpool so much. But the movie still has a heart to it. It has a good heartbeat. Marina Baccarin, I think his name is, the female lead in this, was really good. She showed off a side of her that we hadn't seen before. I mean, she was big in Firefly, and she was on Gotham, I think. I saw the first season. Don't watch Gotham anymore, I don't. But yeah, I thought she was great in Deadpool, and Ryan Reynolds was born to play Deadpool. He's born to play Wade Wilson. T.J. Miller was really funny in this. The guy who plays Ajax, I can't remember his name, sorry. He was the original Dario Naharis in Game of Thrones. Thought he was a pretty good bad guy, not the best bad guy, but I thought he was pretty good and served his purposes. There's a lot in this movie, like the opening thing they basically ripped off from Honest Trailers, where they say directed by an overpaid hack, starring an insult, and they would just insult everybody. I thought that was really funny and a unique way to open a movie. It is definitely very brutal and violent and gory, but that's Deadpool, man. That's what you knew you're getting yourself into if you saw this. And I know there's a lot of parents saying this wasn't a movie for kids. No, it's an R-rated movie. You should know what you're getting yourself into. If you don't know who Deadpool is, look at the rating. It's an R-rated movie. It lists everything: nudity, graphic violence. It's all listed right there, parents. You gotta look at that before you bring your kids to this thing. The car crash scene towards the beginning on that highway was very impressive. There's a featurette of how they shot that, and that's all really fun. So, and you could tell just how hard of a working crew that was to put that thing together, and it turned out really well. Yeah, it's really good and holds up. I've seen it, I think, 3 times now. This is my 3rd time on the rewatch here. So, yeah, Deadpool was very close to being number 5, just missed it, and it would have been another non-MCU movie in there. Obviously, there's 4 MCU movies, 1 non-MCU movie in my top 5, but yeah, this one was pretty close. So that's it for the Countdown Continued for this week. Next week, and don't tell anybody, but I'll tease it right here, doing the top 5 best episodes of Justice League. So I might do Countdown Continued on the honorable mentions for those episodes next week. Maybe, maybe not. It all really depends on what I have time to do. Like I've said before, my commitments to Channel Awesome are very, very demanding with all the stuff I have to watch for top 5. So, and I'm also, editing and producing Orbit Report and everything. So there's a lot going on, and sometimes I don't get a lot of stuff up on this channel, but I'm trying to do better for you guys and get at least a video out a week. If you're watching Star Wars Rebels, go ahead and check out my vlogs for those. And hopefully I'll see you guys next week. If not, I'll see you soon. I'm going to be having a discussion with Jim about Blade Runner 2049 going up pretty soon. We have a discussion about the original Blade Runner up on this channel right now, so you can go check that out. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. I'm Walter Bernazak, and I'll talk to you guys later.